Imagine walking into a doctor's office, faking some symptoms just to score a prescription for you and your friends to party with. But instead of handing over a script, he gives you a massive reality check. You actually are sick, and you need serious help. Before we get too far ahead, let's rewind and see exactly how we got here. Our movie starts with Brittany. She's the funny friend, the one with a massive sense of humor, but she also has a massive problem she desperately tries to ignore: her weight. She originally moved to the city to chase her dreams of singing and writing ads, but somewhere along the way, life just wore her down. She completely forgot why she even came here in the first place. Now, she's settled for a dead-end job taking tickets at a small theater, and she can't even manage to do that right. She shows up late practically every single day, constantly getting an earful from her boss. But Brittany has a defense mechanism. She uses her humor to deflect, escape accountability, and just make everyone around her like her. The next day, she heads to the doctor. Her excuse? She woke up suddenly realizing she just can't focus like a normal human being. But doctors see right through this act. He knows exactly what she's playing at. So she tries dropping some heavy hints. She tells him a completely made-up story about a friend who also struggled with focus, until a doctor prescribed her some special pills. And, magically, her focus became sharper than Pythagoras. The doctor decides to play along. He casually mentions that some people actually fake illnesses just to score these kinds of prescriptions. But he's a professional, so he decides to do his actual job and justify the consultation fee. He asks if she's been having trouble sleeping. Then he drops the hard facts. He reminds her she is 178 centimeters tall and weighs well over 90 kilos. And as body mass index goes up, sleep problems usually follow. She sits there, completely stunned. "I came in here for a prescription, and your diagnosis is that I'm fat?" He doesn't sugarcoat it. He tells her she needs to drop at least 25 kilos. Her resting heart rate is through the roof, and her blood pressure is dangerously high. If she keeps living like this, her liver is going to start failing. Immediately, her defense mechanism kicks in. She falls right back into her comedy routine to deflect the tension. She jokes that 25 kilos is the size of an entire toddler and asks how she's supposed to just lose a whole person. She tries to flip the script, asking if he's body-shaming her and reminding him that all bodies are beautiful. He looks at her, completely unbothered. He lays it out on the table. He's not giving her the drugs she came for. He tells her to take this as a massive wake-up call to finally take control of her health before she ends up with an irreversible chronic disease. The second she walks out of that clinic, she throws every single word he said straight into the trash. She heads out to party with her roommate, spending the entire night drinking everything she possibly can to actively destroy her body. And, of course, she makes sure to buy rounds for everyone. It's her way of buying their affection. She's deeply convinced that paying for things is the only way these people will actually accept her and let her fit in. But later that night, she catches her own reflection in a mirror. She freezes. The doctor's words start echoing in her head, and a heavy wave of disgust washes over her. She drags herself back home at dawn, completely depressed and hungover. In the hallway, she bumps into Martha, her incredibly wealthy neighbor. Every single time Brittany looks at Martha, her own insecurities just multiply. Martha is beautiful. She's fit. She goes running every single morning, owns her own studio, and has a perfect marriage with 2 kids. From the outside, it's a flawless 10 out of 10 life. Later, when the hangover finally starts wearing off, Brittany tries to open up to her roommate. She confesses how stuck she feels, like her entire life is just stalled and she's achieving absolutely nothing. Her roommate barely even looks up. She completely brushes her off, saying, "Why? You have a job, and you have a friend like me." Then, without skipping a beat, she just changes the subject to complain about her own life. And because Brittany always puts everyone else first, she swallows her own feelings, sits there, and comforts her. Right around then, she gets an email from the clinic. They need her to fill out her family's medical history to check for any hereditary diseases. For the first time in her life, Brittany actually sits down and reflects. She pulls out some old home videos. As she watches them, a harsh reality hits her. Her dad was incredibly overweight too. The next morning, she wakes up and opens her phone. The first thing she sees is a polished video her roommate posted with her boyfriend for all her followers. She gets out of bed, looks out the window, and sees Martha already down on the pavement, stretching for her daily run. It just crushes her. Everyone around her has a life, passions, and hobbies. Meanwhile, she can't even hold down a proper job. She decides to just say, screw it. No risk, no reward. She marches straight to the local gym, ready to buy a membership and officially start a brand new life. But the second she walks up to the front desk, reality slaps her in the face. A 1-month subscription costs 2 or 3 times her entire salary. She abandons the idea right then and there. She tries to justify it, telling herself she probably wouldn't have lasted 2 days anyway. So she tells herself she's just going to take the easy way out. She goes back home, digs out her old workout clothes, and decides she's just going to jog around the block like her rich neighbor Martha. But the moment she stands in front of her building's door, a massive, dark cloud of anxiety rolls over her. Can I even do this? Am I going to look like an idiot? Why am I even doing this in the first place? She tries to fight through the mental block and pushes the door open. But the second she steps outside, she catches her reflection in a street mirror. That's all it takes. She instantly turns around, runs back up to her apartment, and yanks the fridge open, desperately looking for any food to drown her frustration in. Martha happens to be working in her apartment and hears Brittany crying through the walls. So she heads downstairs and knocks on her door, just wanting to see if she needs any help. But someone in Brittany's headspace is going to view any act of kindness as pure pity. She acts incredibly hostile toward her. I Googled you, Brittany snaps. I know you have a husband, 2 kids, and 2 apartments. How could someone like you possibly understand what I'm going through? Martha tries to keep things polite. She smiles and says, well, I guess I should be glad that someone thinks my life looks so perfect from the outside. That calm response just makes Brittany even angrier. She flings the door wide open, ready to turn this into a face-to-face fight. She unloads everything. She tells Martha she's broke, overweight, and has a failing liver. She admits that she tried to adopt a dog, but the shelter rejected her because they didn't think she could provide a stable future for it. And the worst part? She's about to turn 30, completely single, which means she's about to step into a whole new level of societal judgment. Martha quietly listens, then shares a dark piece of her own past. She tells Brittany that when she was in her 20s, she was locked away in a rehab facility for addiction. She was completely lost back then, with no idea what to do with her life. The only thing that actually helped her pull herself out of that hole was setting tiny, manageable goals. Brittany just brushes her off and politely kicks her out, saying, "Can I just be alone right now?" But the next morning, Brittany wakes up feeling like a completely different person. She decides to actually take Martha's advice and start small. She puts on her workout clothes and heads downstairs. When the panic starts creeping back in, she simplifies the goal. Just run around 1 single block. And she actually does it. She drags herself back to the building, her legs barely working. By chance, she runs into Martha. Martha is genuinely thrilled that Brittany actually took that first step. She suggests Brittany join their local running group to meet new people and get some motivation. But, true to form, Brittany reacts with pure hostility. "Since when are we friends?" she asks. Martha just takes the hint and walks away. Later, Brittany video calls her sister and her brother-in-law to catch up, since they're the only family she has left after their dad passed away. She spends the rest of the day hanging out with her roommate. Feeling a sudden burst of motivation, she asks her roommate to go for a run with her, just to clear their heads. Her roommate instantly shoots her down, pointing out that she's already incredibly thin and absolutely cannot afford to lose any more weight. With no other options, Brittany is forced to swallow her pride and show up to the running group she just insulted Martha over. The moment Martha sees her, she is incredibly happy, but she purposely keeps her distance to let Brittany have her space. That's where Brittany meets Seth. He's struggling just as much as she is, practically dying at the very back of the pack. He tells her his whole story. He only started running because his son kept teasing him about how out of shape he was and how he got tired, like a girl. So Seth decided to start running. And not just that, he plans to enter actual races. His goal isn't to win, it's just to prove he can cross the finish line. Day after day, Brittany actually sticks with it. She gets used to the running. She starts cutting out high-calorie junk food to drop the weight, until finally she steps on the scale and gets the best news of her life. She lost 10 kilos. She runs out to celebrate the milestone with her roommate, but her roommate just mocks her. "Wow, only 14 more kilos to go. Good luck with that." Brittany ignores the sarcasm and proudly announces that she just signed up for a 5K marathon. This time, both her roommate and the boyfriend laugh right in her face. They totally dismiss her, acting like she's delusional for thinking she's an actual athlete now. When the day of the 5K arrives, Brittany is visibly terrified, and the anxiety only spikes higher every time she sees a girl who is thinner than her. But having Seth there completely changes things. He pushes her, and together, they manage to cross the finish line. Afterward, they head out to grab lunch and celebrate their massive achievement. Suddenly, Martha crashes their table to congratulate them. Being polite, Seth invites her to sit down. Martha practically jumps at the offer. She recently separated from her husband and has this deep, empty feeling of loneliness that she's desperately trying to fill with anyone who will give her the time of day. Later that night, Brittany is scrolling through her photos from the race. Suddenly, her mind starts playing tricks on her. She fixates on her size, completely horrified by how big she thinks she looks. Her roommate interrupts the spiral, asking her to come out and party. Brittany actually holds her ground and says no. She explains she has to wake up early for a run, but the second her roommate mentions she got her hands on those prescription pills, all that willpower goes straight in the trash. She instantly caves and heads out for the night. Of course, she wakes up completely exhausted and totally misses her run. When her roommate sees how upset she is, she just mocks her. "Why are you taking this so seriously? We all have legs and we use them when we're running late." Brittany just bites her tongue and pretends she didn't hear it. Later, when she's out running with Seth and Martha, she drops a massive idea. She suggests they all run the New York City Marathon. Seth immediately panics, feeling like it's way out of their league. But Martha is totally on board, pointing out they have plenty of time to train and build up their endurance. But underneath it all, Brittany is still suspicious. She can't figure out why Martha is even running with them when she's clearly way faster. Martha just completely ignores Brittany's cold attitude. The truth is, she desperately needs people to spend time with right now. She opens up and tells them that 4 years ago she was actually training for the marathon, but she found out she was pregnant and had to drop out. So for her, this is a second chance to finish what she started. She breaks down the rules for them. First, they have to enter the lottery system, and if they don't get picked, their only backup plan is to raise money for charity to secure a spot in the race. From that day on, Brittany's entire life shifts. It becomes nothing but diet, exercise, and more exercise. She even starts hunting for a second job just to bring in some extra cash. After getting rejected from multiple interviews because she has absolutely zero experience, she finally gets lucky. Someone mentions that their sister and brother-in-law are traveling and need a dog sitter. To Brittany, this is the ultimate jackpot. The house is gorgeous, she barely has to do any real work, and she gets paid for it. But while she's sitting there, totally soaking in the luxury, a guy just walks right in. He introduces himself as Jern, the night shift dog sitter, and apparently, he's practically living in the house. Brittany's conscience kicks in, and she feels like she has to tell the owners. It's crazy that he's just exploiting their home like this. But Jern smoothly talks her out of it. He warns her, "Sure, tell them. But if you do, they might just cancel the whole setup, and neither of us gets paid." So she decides to just play blind and deaf, letting him do whatever he wants. Later at the gym, she vents to Seth. She complains that the one good thing in her life just got ruined by this random guy springing up out of nowhere to annoy her. Seth just laughs it off. He tells her these enemies to lovers setups always end in romance. Then he gives her some real advice. He tells her she needs to ease up on Martha. The woman is going through a lonely divorce, and Brittany can't just keep being hostile to her all the time. By the end of the day, the strict diet finally breaks Brittany. She cracks and orders a massive burger with cheese fries, because if she's going to fail, she's going to fail spectacularly. As she's walking out of the restaurant, she runs right into Martha. Brittany immediately pretends she doesn't see her. To her, Martha is literally walking, breathing guilt. When she gets back to her dog-sitting job, she is completely fed up with Jern. He does absolutely nothing but sit around and watch TV all day. He completely ignores all the chores the homeowner left for them. She finally snaps and asks him, "Don't you feel like your life is completely pointless?" She turns off the TV and hides the remote just to mess with him. He immediately tries to play the victim card. He starts talking about how a child of divorce suffers from deep psychological trauma and needs special accommodation. But Brittany is not falling for that routine. Her own life could be a tragic movie. Her mom walked out on her and her sister to chase dreams of becoming an actress. A few years later, her dad passed away. She only survived because her sister got married, and the two of them basically raised her. So, yeah, everyone goes through hard times. Jern decides to up the stakes. He tells her his dad cheated on his mom with another woman, and then threw them both out on the street because he didn't want to support them. Hearing that, her walls come down just a little bit, and she actually feels a tiny bit of sympathy for him. The next morning starts with the scale. She checks her weight and sees the number 74. She is so hyped that she actually puts on makeup before heading out. And, for the first time, she notices people actually looking at her on the street. When she runs late for the subway, a guy actually holds the door open for her. In that moment, she realizes just how much those few kilos have completely changed the way the world treats her. As soon as she gets home, she opens her laptop and starts scrolling through dating apps. She figures it's about time she puts herself out there and actually lives like other girls her age. But suddenly, her roommate walks in, completely devastated. She just went through a bad breakup a week ago, and apparently it was already all over Instagram. Brittany immediately apologizes for missing the news. She tries her best to comfort her. "What do you need? Drink? Food? I'll sit with you, but I'm not eating." Her roommate looks at her like she's lost her mind. She instantly takes it as a selfish insult, storms off, and locks herself in the bathroom. Brittany follows her to the door, trying to talk it out calmly. She genuinely wants to help, but she refuses to break her strict routine. She's working 2 jobs, her head is spinning, and she's just trying to hold everything together. But her roommate is just looking for a punching bag. She takes everything Brittany says as a personal attack, and lashes out with the cruelest things imaginable. "Don't throw away your fat clothes, Brittany. People like you were born to be overweight forever." That is the final straw. Brittany faces her and finally unloads everything she's been holding back. She's done letting this girl constantly mock her and tear her down. She packs her bags right then and there. She moves out and crashes with Jern at the dog-sitting house. When Jern sees her stressing over a dating app, he decides to step in. He gives her the ultimate crash course. He helps her build the perfect profile so she comes off confident, secure, and completely out of anyone's league. The next morning starts on the scale, 72 kilos. And to top off the good news, she gets her first match on the app. They don't waste any time. By the end of the day, she's having dinner at his place. But she's constantly checking the mirror, nervously fixing her hair. She's just not used to any of this. Suddenly, a massive wave of pure discomfort hits her. She can't do it. She grabs her things and just leaves. When she gets back, Jern checks in on her. She lies straight to his face, telling him the date was absolutely flawless. He offers to celebrate and hang out. When she refuses to break her fitness routine, he's honestly impressed by her willpower. She smiles. For that compliment, pick a good movie. That's when she finally opens up. She admits the whole dating scene just isn't for her. She was miserable. All she could think about was that the second she left, he was going to go out with his friends and laugh at her, make fun of her looks, her weight, everything. "That's just what guys do," she says. Jern stops her right there. He tells her they aren't all like that. Even with his messed up childhood, he still wants to get married and build a real family. Just because his parents failed doesn't mean he has to. Summer rolls in, and Brittany is absolutely glowing. She grabs breakfast with Seth and Martha and drops an update. She and Jern are basically in a situationship. Together, but not together. They couldn't be happier for her. She applies for the New York Marathon Lottery. She clears her entire schedule, making training her one and only priority. One day on the subway, she bumps into her old roommate. The girl is completely stunned by how much weight Brittany has lost. She even offers to let her move back in, saying her room is still empty. But Brittany keeps her pride completely intact. "I'm actually really busy," she says politely. "I have a marathon to train for." And she just walks away. Then comes lottery day. The devastating news hits. She didn't get picked. She tries to play it cool so she doesn't ruin the vibe and heads to Martha's divorce party. But when she gets there, they hand her an envelope stuffed with cash. They raised the money for her charity entry fee so she could still run the race. They are so excited, knowing exactly how much this marathon means to her. But in typical Brittany fashion, she views their generosity as pure pity. "I don't need your charity," she snaps. She grabs her jacket and walks out, refusing to even explain why she's so angry. She goes straight to Jörn and unloads all her anger on him too. "We aren't a couple," she tells him coldly. "We're just passing time. I would never actually date someone like you." A few days later, she steps on the scale, and a literal ticking time bomb goes off in her head. She gained 2.5 kilos. Even though it's a tiny fluctuation, her brain registers it as the end of the world. She decides she has to run for 3 days straight to burn it off immediately. She runs through the entire night. She pushes herself way past her limit until she physically breaks. She severely injures her leg, to the point where she can't even stand on it. When she goes to the doctor, he delivers the crushing reality. The overtraining caused a stress fracture in her leg. She needs to stay off it and rest at home for 8 solid weeks. The news hits her like an absolute wrecking ball. The marathon is only 5 weeks away. The second she gets home, she calls Seth and completely breaks down. She lashes out, letting all her bitterness do the talking. She demands to know why someone whose only life goal is to make his son proud gets his dream handed to him, while she puts in all this grueling work, only to end up with absolutely nothing. Seth knows exactly what kind of dark headspace she's in right now, so he just takes it and pretends he didn't hear the insults. When Jörn shows up, she turns on him too. She picks a massive fight, completely convinced that now that she's injured, he's just going to take the easy way out and cheat on her. Right in the middle of this chaos, the homeowners walk through the front door. They are absolutely horrified by the state of the house. They never imagined the dog sitters would treat the place like their own personal frat house. Left with absolutely nowhere else to go, Brittany is forced to pack her bags and move back in with her sister. Her brother-in-law tries to be supportive. He tells her that if she wants to stay permanently, they'd be more than happy to have her around. But she completely rejects the idea. There is absolutely no way she is going to hit the reset button and go right back to square one after everything she's been through. 5 weeks pass. Her leg is finally starting to heal up a bit. Her sister is incredibly busy setting up a birthday party for the kids. Meanwhile, Martha and Seth are blowing up Brittany's phone, because today is marathon day. She just leaves her phone face down, pretending she can't see the notifications. But the second she opens Instagram and sees their pictures wearing the finisher medals, it crushes her. In her mind, they are out there living her dream. She spends the rest of the night just crying. While scrolling, she stumbles across a post from Jörn. He proudly announces that he finally achieved his lifelong dream and launched his own business. Her curiosity gets the better of her, so she clicks to see what his big ambition actually is. It's a jacket covered in tiny bird prints. She just stares at the screen, wondering, is this really the guy I was spending all my time with? When the day of the birthday party arrives, the vibe is great. Everyone is laughing and having a good time. Then their neighbor walks in with her new boyfriend, and Brittany just loses it internally. The neighbor is a very heavy-set woman, but her boyfriend is incredibly fit. Brittany spends the entire party just staring at them, completely fixated on how those two could possibly be together. She starts drinking heavily. Even though she lost a massive amount of weight and finally reached her goal, she still hasn't figured out how to love herself. And she still can't fathom the idea that anyone else could truly love her exactly as she is. Right in the middle of the room, she blurts out, "So, how did you two meet?" Her brother-in-law immediately tries to change the subject, realizing Brittany is acting completely out of line. But she doubles down. She looks right at the couple and says, "Honestly, your relationship just looks really weird. I'm just saying what everyone else in this room is thinking but is too polite to ask." The neighbor just stands up and walks away, absolutely refusing to sit there and take this toxic nonsense. But Brittany just keeps going. She says out loud that he obviously doesn't really love her. It's impossible to love someone who looks like that. She needs to lose at least 50 kilos just to look normal next to him. Later that night, her brother-in-law finds her standing in the kitchen making food. He confronts her, demanding to know what the hell she was doing out there. She brushes it off, blaming the alcohol, and promises she'll apologize for what she said. But he pushes deeper. He points out that ever since she moved back, she has completely shut everyone out. She cancels every call from her friends and refuses to let anyone get close to her. He tells her he doesn't understand why she's acting like this. He reminds her of who she used to be. When she was just a little kid, their dad fell into a deep depression after their mom left, and Brittany spent months going into his room, singing and dancing for him. She did everything she could just to give him a reason to step outside and realize there was a whole world beyond his sadness. He looks at her and says, "You've spent your whole life helping people. Now you need to let the people around you help you." The very next day, Brittany packs up and heads back to the city. She makes sure to send a bouquet of flowers to the neighbor with a sincere apology card. The woman replies with a text thanking her for the flowers. She tells Brittany that she actually completely understands where she was coming from. She spent years of her own life obsessing over absolutely nothing but her weight and her body. But the moment she decided to push past the fear, the pain, and the bullying, she finally allowed herself to just be happy. And she actually achieved it. Reading that message, something shifts inside Brittany. She decides to make that exact same choice, and the very first step she needs to take to get there is to get rid of her scale. It was the one thing that fueled her entire toxic obsession from the very beginning. She meets up with John and Martha to formally apologize for her recent attitude. She wants to check in on them and officially congratulate them on crossing that finish line. Later that night, Martha comes over to her place, completely devastated. She finally opens up about her ex-husband. Years ago, while they were still married, she took a bad fall and broke her arm. She was prescribed some incredibly heavy painkillers to deal with the recovery. Her husband deliberately kept the empty pill bottles and used them in court to frame her as an addict. He used it to completely cut off her visitation rights, and he actually won the case. Now, fighting the appeal just to see her own kids again is going to take months. It's a complete full-circle moment. But this time, Brittany is the one comforting her. She looks at Martha and tells her that even if it feels like it's going to take forever, and even if every single door feels completely shut right now, setting small, manageable goals is exactly what will get her through this. Now, the only thing left to do is make things right with Jern. She meets up with him for dinner and drops some massive news. She finally landed a job in advertising, the exact career she originally moved to the city for. He is incredibly happy for her, seeing that she is finally taking real, solid steps forward in her life. Then, she gives it to him completely straight. She tells him she just can't be in a relationship right now. She's still figuring herself out and doesn't exactly know what she wants yet. Beyond that, she points out that he still isn't fully responsible himself. It constantly makes her feel like she has to take care of him. And honestly, she barely has enough energy to take care of herself right now. She suggests they just stay friends, because his feelings for her are genuine and he really doesn't want to lose her from his life. He agrees to keep things platonic. At the end of the night, Brittany sits on the edge of her bed, staring right at the marathon poster hanging on the back of her door. Because right now, her ultimate goal is to train and officially run that race next year. Fast forward 1 year later, she's finally gearing up for marathon day. The second she arrives at the starting line, she just stands there, totally overwhelmed. She can hardly believe she actually made it, and that she is officially one of these runners now. Right before the race begins, her mind flashes back to that very first day. She remembers standing in front of her apartment door, feeling so weak and like such a failure that she was absolutely terrified to just step outside. She uses all of those dark memories as fuel, pushing herself to succeed and see this all the way through. But 26 miles is a grueling distance. Near the very end of the race, Brittany hits a massive wall. A brutal cramp shoots up her leg and she genuinely feels like she can't take another step. She is right on the edge of just giving up completely. But suddenly, she hears John's voice cutting through the crowd. He's standing on the sidelines with his son, screaming her name and cheering her on. Hearing that gives her the exact push she needs. She forces herself to keep moving, even if it's at a slower pace, even if she's just walking. The only thing that matters is moving forward. And with every mile she covers, she spots another friend in the crowd cheering her on. She pushes through the pain until she finally crosses the finish line. officially achieving the dream she had been chasing for so long. A little further down the road, we see her actually living with Jern in the same apartment. She finally let her guard down and fully let him back into her life. Right before she heads out the door for a run, he casually looks at her and asks, "So, shouldn't we just get married already?" She jumps, totally caught off guard, realizing she still needs just a little more time to wrap her head around that idea. And with that, our movie comes to an end.